Okay, great. Thanks so much for coming out today. This is, I believe, part four, yes, of the series we're doing on meditation. And I just mentioned this one is actually one of the thoughts and thinking is one of the questions that I get most often when people are first starting to meditate and ongoing, because it's something. So that's the theme. It's thoughts and our thinking during the meditation practice, and it's really important because a lot of people think that's like the goal to have no thoughts or to calm the mind through having no thoughts or something like that. So people will come to meditation and then ask after just about that and how and if that's wrong or right. And there's nothing really wrong with thoughts. What we'll be doing today is some practices in which you observe the thoughts. So we can just kind of acknowledge, similar to how we were doing with our breath and with the body and sensations, just acknowledging them without attaching any judgment or trying to change them and then letting them pass on. I actually thought this would be one of the more difficult ones to create, but in the end, it actually ended up being a little easier because we're just focusing on the thoughts, which is often the most difficult part. So we've taken away all of the other elements kind of and allowing them to be, and we're focusing on the thoughts and letting our connecting to kind of like the present moment through our thinking, if that makes sense. So thoughts are self-talk, verbal context, as well as like images, memories, stories, and plans. Thoughts can be more challenging on some days than others, and there's a lot of different factors. So like what's happening in your life, stress, caffeine, your emotional, physical state, even the time of day can impact how your thinking is. Like breathing, thoughts are either can be deliberate or automatic. So similar to how we notice our inhale and exhale, the same with thoughts. Like they can just go on a train of thoughts and we're not really paying attention, or we can evaluate our thinking and notice what we're thinking, and maybe even if it's not going in the direction that that is positive or negative, we could kind of adjust that. Today, when we're looking at our thoughts, we're not worrying about kind of what we're thinking about. We're just worrying, or not worrying, we're just acknowledging that they're there and letting them pass on. Meditation and mindfulness really helps with that because that's what we're doing. We're just focusing on the present moment. We're focusing on slowing down the body and mind. And in turn, we can take away some of all the things that are going on externally and internally and just come to the present moment. Practices like these can be used in a formal practice like today as well as in the present moment. So if you notice that your thought process are going on and on, you can kind of just like stop it. Like for me, when I used to deal with like overthinking or even negative self-talk, I would go from like A to Z in a matter of like 30 seconds. And I realized, like, how is that possible? I just created like 100 scenarios, and I'm at basically often the worst one at the end. So I learned over time, and just taking the time to take a few breaths and come into the present moment, that I don't need to continue the stories or the scenarios, and I can just kind of leave it how it is, because a lot of times it is not helpful. I was watching this TV show actually, and they had said the quote I really liked, and it was funny because it was this week, but it's silence is really loud. And I totally resonated with that, especially in today's times because we're indoors a lot, and like the silence just becomes really loud because we're living in our own minds, and your mind can be your friend or your enemy at times. Enemy, not maybe not best friend. One good tip is that we are separate from our thoughts. So a lot of times we think we are our thinking, or we think we think is true, but a lot of times that is not the case. So we are separate from our thoughts. Almost again like the breath or the body, like we can take the thoughts away and just evaluate them. So working on thought meditations can help break the cycle of rumination. It can help bring us into the present moment. It can help with self-compassion, different perspectives. And I'm going to go into a different few techniques throughout the meditation, and I'm not going to go over them now because I think it's best if we actually practice them rather than you listening to me talk. and it can help build resilience towards stress. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to go over. Oh, and one thing I did want to mention is that if you find during this time that your thinking is going in a direction that's making you uncomfortable or causing you any distress or anything, you can totally take a break and you can come back to the meditation, or you can continue on with your own meditation. I just wanted to mention that. Okay, great. So I think we will get started. As always, just finding yourself in a comfortable position. I'm usually cross-legged, but you can have your feet flat on the ground. You can be lying down. So we'll be going through the guided meditation, a couple minutes of silent meditation, and then we'll close out. Observation of thoughts. Begin by finding a comfortable posture of your choice, seated or lying down. A place where you can remain rested for several minutes. Soften the shoulders and arms. Relax the cheekbones, the eyes, and the jaw. Settle into the ground or chair beneath you, allowing the body to relax. Gently allow your eyes to close or keep them open with a soft gaze. Take a deep breath in and exhale. For a couple moments, with each inhale, follow the air traveling in through the nose, down the lungs to the belly. Then with each exhale, follow the air traveling back through the lungs and out through the nose. Continue to allow your attention to settle into the body while following the cycle of your breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Notice the breath with each inhale and exhale. Relax the body. In today's meditation, we will be focusing on thoughts and thought processes. This is thought observation. Thoughts are almost always present. They shape how we see ourselves, others, and the world. They are fluid, coming and going and always changing. Thoughts impact how we feel, respond, and act. They affect mental, physical, and emotional health, as well as influencing our relationships with others. Through observing our thoughts, we are taking a step back and becoming mindful. We are learning to view thoughts for what they actually are, rather than getting swept away or caught up in a train of thoughts. We are bringing ourselves into the present moment and understanding that thoughts are simply words, images, stories, or other forms of awareness. Some thoughts will just pass by, and others might stay with you for a while. But it is possible for them not to impact or trouble you. Through being an observer of thoughts and becoming mindful of our inner voice, we can reduce habitual thinking patterns, such as being stuck or lost in thought, as well as being drawn away from the present moment. Thought observation is a valuable skill to develop awareness, mindfulness, and to practice observation. Begin by bringing your awareness to your thinking in this moment, noticing whatever thoughts may be present right now. As each thought arises, simply notice it as the observer. Then, after greeting the thought, let it go and watch it pass by. An observer of thoughts, noticing them arriving and leaving. Remaining attentive, now see if it is possible to notice your thoughts without judgment. View each thought, image, or idea equally and as they are, simply words or pictures in the mind. Allow them to be there, then let them move on. Try not to alter your thoughts, change, cling to them, or wish they were different. Make no attempt to arrive at any conclusions about your thoughts or thought processes. Just be aware. Thoughts come into our presence for only a few moments. Briefly taking up space in our minds and then moving on. Making room for a pause or for a new thought to appear. Continue to notice your thoughts arising. Allow them to be there, then let them move on. We will now explore the structure of our thoughts. Begin to notice how thoughts are continually shifting and changing. At times, there may be a constant flow of thoughts. Or you may notice one or two thoughts lasting with you. Thoughts may be related, building upon a previous thought, or they may be unrelated, independent thoughts unlike the others. Thoughts may move quickly or slowly. There could be many or just a few. Whatever the shape of your thoughts, that is okay. Whatever the process of your thoughts, that is okay too. We are practicing observing the mind and being aware of what is present in the moment. Our intention is not to stop the mind from having thoughts, rather to be aware of their existence, then without engagement and from a distance, allow them to pass by. There will be thoughts that seem to enter our minds more frequently, but we need not to get absorbed or caught up in them. If thoughts seem to want to pull you away, attach a narrative to them, or develop into a series of thoughts, we have the choice to step back and again, simply recognize them as pictures, words, or distractions. This is practicing mindfulness. We can become mindful of our thoughts and choose how to or how not to interact and engage with them. When a thought arrives that is persistent, hanging out longer than the others, do not try to avoid it. However, it is not necessary to give it any attention. Continual thoughts can be observed just as we do fleeting thoughts, from the outside, from an alternate perspective. Mindfully observe your thoughts, knowing that they, along with related feelings and emotions, are temporary. They too shall pass. Seemingly positive or negative, pleasant or unpleasant, helpful or unhelpful, they will pass. Let's take a moment now to notice if there is any gaps occurring between each thought. A quiet pause between thoughts flowing in and out. Much like the short interlude that takes place separating inhales from exhales. A brief moment of time without thought. Notice this interval until another thought comes along. And again, letting the thought arise and pass. Breathing, becoming a mindful and compassionate observer of your experience. Noticing. You may also find it helpful during this practice to name or label your thoughts. When a thought arises, observe its type and categorize it. If a thought recalls something in the past, it could be labeled a memory thought. If a thought is about something in the future, you could call it a planning thought. As thoughts enter your awareness, identify and name them, such as a judgment thought or an analytical thought, problem solving, dreaming, intention, reflective, and so on. Creating labels to match the thoughts that you are encountering. This approach can help you become familiar with the type of thoughts that are common for you. If you happen to notice a pattern to your thinking, there is no need to judge yourself. Instead, accept thoughts as they are and be present with what is. Witness the mind. Another technique that can be used is visualization. When a thought arises, imagine it as a cloud floating by in the sky or a leaf floating down a stream. Notice the cloud or leaf in your awareness, and then let it drift along, floating out of sight. Pause. Until another cloud or leaf enters your awareness. And then let this one pass by too. In your mind's eye, place each thought that arises on a cloud or leaf, then watch it flow out of sight. Those thoughts that are more challenging and persistent could be both labeled and visualized. After a thought arises, begin by naming the thought. Then imagine it as a cloud or leaf and send it along in the sky or river. Then, returning your focus back to the present moment, back to your breath. It is now time to observe a silent meditation. During this time, you are always welcome to continue observing thoughts or following the breath. Beginning now, for 3 minutes, we will practice a silent meditation. Softly taking a breath in and exhale. Take another deep breath in and exhale. Whenever you are ready, start to slowly awaken from your practice. At your own pace, begin to make small movements with the fingers and toes, hands and feet. Perhaps shrugging the shoulders. If your eyes were closed, gently open them, returning to the environment you are in, and bringing your awareness back to the room around you. In today's meditation, we focused on thought observation. These techniques allow us to become more familiar with the mind and support progression in our meditation practice. They can be helpful as a formal practice, like today, or practicing moment by moment. Take one more deep breath in and exhale. Return to the remainder of your day, mindful, observant, and aware. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. If you have any questions, again, feel free to let me know after the session or via email. And we do have a special meditation next Friday for the holidays. I believe that was sent out. And then the next meditation as part of the series will be in January. So take care and happy holidays.